What if everything you've been told about success is backwards? What if success isn't something you chase, but something your brain is trained to create? Think about it. Two people face the exact same challenge. One sees opportunity. The other sees failure. The difference isn't intelligence. It isn't talent. And it certainly isn't luck. It's programming. Your brain is constantly learning from what you repeat, what you believe, and what you focus on. Every thought you think, every habit you practice, every decision you make is strengthening a pattern. The question is, are those patterns building the life you want or keeping you stuck in the life you have? The good news is this: your brain is not fixed. It's designed to adapt, which means the person you are today does not have to be the person you become tomorrow. In today's speech, we're going to explore how to rewire your brain for success and happiness, not through magic, not through shortcuts, but through small, intentional changes that transform the way you think, act, and ultimately live. Because when you change the way your brain works, you don't just change your habits, you change your future. Let's begin. Every great achievement begins long before anyone sees the results. It starts with a thought. Most people believe their thoughts simply appear out of nowhere, but the truth is that your brain is constantly learning from whatever you repeat. Every sentence you tell yourself, every opinion you accept, and every belief you hold becomes part of the mental blueprint that shapes your life. Your brain does not spend all day deciding whether every thought is true or false. Instead, it pays close attention to repetition. The more often you think something, the more familiar it becomes, and familiarity slowly turns into belief. Imagine hearing the same song every single day. At first, you may not even like it. But after enough repetition, you begin to remember the lyrics without trying. You catch yourself humming the melody. Eventually, the song becomes a part of your memory. Your brain works in a similar way with your thoughts, whether those thoughts are positive or negative. Repeated messages become deeply rooted over time. This explains why some people grow up believing they are capable of achieving incredible things, while others spend years convinced they are not good enough. It isn't always because of talent or intelligence. Often it is because of the messages they heard and repeated throughout their lives. A child who constantly hears encouragement begins to believe challenges can be overcome. Another child who repeatedly hears criticism may begin to believe failure is part of their identity. As the years pass, these beliefs quietly influence decisions, confidence, relationships, and ambitions. The remarkable thing about the human brain is that it continues learning throughout life. Even if you have spent years repeating negative beliefs, your story is not finished. Your brain is constantly updating itself based on what you repeatedly experience and think. Every day presents another opportunity to strengthen a healthier belief instead of an unhealthy one. Think about the way athletes prepare before a major competition. They don't simply train their muscles. Many of them train their minds just as intensely. They visualize success over and over again. They imagine overcoming obstacles. They rehearse confidence before they ever step into the competition. They understand that the brain responds to repeated mental practice almost as powerfully as physical practice. Before victory becomes visible to the world, it has often been rehearsed hundreds of times in the mind. The same principle applies outside of sports. The entrepreneurs who build successful companies often begin by believing that problems are opportunities waiting for solutions. They repeat this mindset during difficult moments until it becomes natural. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can this teach me?" That repeated question gradually changes how they respond to setbacks. Over time, challenges become lessons instead of reasons to quit. Most people underestimate how much of their daily life is guided by unconscious beliefs. If someone repeatedly tells themselves, "I'm always unlucky," the brain starts searching for evidence to support that belief. Every disappointment feels like proof. Every failure becomes another confirmation. Successes are ignored because they don't fit the existing story. Without realizing it, the brain begins filtering reality according to what it already believes. Now imagine replacing that story with a different one. Imagine consistently telling yourself, "I learn from every experience," or "I become stronger with every challenge." At first, those statements might feel unfamiliar. They may even feel uncomfortable because they conflict with years of old programming. But repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity gradually creates acceptance. What once felt unnatural slowly begins to feel normal. This doesn't mean pretending that life is perfect or ignoring difficulties. It means choosing thoughts that help you grow instead of thoughts that keep you trapped. Your brain is always listening to your internal conversations. If those conversations are filled with doubt, fear, and criticism, those emotions become stronger. If they are filled with hope, resilience, and possibility, those qualities become stronger instead. Consider how often people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend. One small mistake becomes proof that they are incapable. One rejection becomes evidence that they will never succeed. One setback becomes a reason to question their entire future. These repeated messages slowly become part of their identity. The brain begins accepting those harsh words as reality simply because they have been heard so many times. Changing this pattern requires awareness. You cannot rewrite a story you refuse to recognize. The first step is noticing the words that play repeatedly in your mind every single day. Are they encouraging you to move forward or convincing you to stay where you are? Every repeated thought is like casting another vote for the person you are becoming. Scientists often describe the brain as highly adaptable because of its ability to form and strengthen neural pathways. Every repeated thought reinforces certain connections while allowing others to weaken. Imagine walking through a field covered with tall grass. The first journey is difficult because no path exists, but each time you walk the same route, the trail becomes easier to follow. Eventually, it becomes the obvious direction. Your thoughts create similar pathways inside your brain. The thoughts you repeat most often become the easiest ones to access. This is why habits of thinking matter so much. Confidence is strengthened through repeated acts of courage. Gratitude grows through repeated attention to what is good. Optimism develops through repeated focus on possibility instead of limitation. Fear also grows through repetition. Self-doubt grows through repetition. Anxiety grows when the same fearful predictions are rehearsed day after day. Whatever you feed consistently becomes stronger because your brain is designed to adapt to what you practice most often. The incredible opportunity hidden within this truth is that every single day gives you another chance to practice a better way of thinking. Every encouraging word you repeat to yourself becomes another brick in a stronger mental foundation. Every hopeful belief strengthens a different pathway. Every intentional thought teaches your brain what deserves attention. Little by little, the mind begins working with you instead of against you because it always responds to what you consistently repeat. Every person carries a collection of beliefs that quietly influence every decision they make. Some of these beliefs give us confidence, resilience, and the courage to move forward. Others hold us back without us even realizing it. These invisible stories become the lens through which we see ourselves, other people, and the world around us. The challenge is that many limiting beliefs are accepted so early in life that we stop questioning them. They become automatic, and anything that feels automatic often feels true. A limiting belief is not necessarily a fact. It is often a conclusion that has been repeated so many times that your brain begins treating it as reality. Maybe someone once told you that you were not smart enough. Maybe you failed at something important and decided you would never succeed. Maybe you compared yourself to someone else and convinced yourself that you would always be behind. These moments can leave powerful impressions, but they do not define your future unless you allow them to become permanent beliefs. Think about how many people avoid opportunities simply because of what they believe about themselves. One person refuses to apply for a better job because they assume they are unqualified. Another avoids speaking in public because they believe they are not confident enough. Someone else never starts a business because they believe successful people are simply born different. These beliefs create invisible boundaries. The person often never discovers what they are truly capable of because they stop themselves before life has the chance to test their potential. The human brain loves certainty. It prefers familiar stories over uncertain possibilities. Even when those stories are negative, the brain often clings to them because they provide a predictable explanation for life. If you have spent years believing, "I always fail," your brain begins expecting failure before you even begin. It notices every obstacle while overlooking every opportunity. The belief shapes your expectations, and your expectations influence your actions. This is why replacing limiting beliefs is not about pretending everything is easy. It is about replacing inaccurate conclusions with empowering perspectives that encourage growth instead of fear. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," you can begin saying, "I'm still learning this." That single shift changes failure from a permanent identity into a temporary stage of progress. One sentence closes the door while the other keeps it open. The word yet has incredible power. Imagine the difference between saying, I can't do this, and saying, I can't do this yet. The first statement tells your brain that the journey is over before it begins. The second reminds your brain that growth is still possible. It creates space for learning, practice, and improvement. A single word transforms hopelessness into possibility. Successful people are not free from self-doubt. They simply refuse to let doubt become their identity. They understand that confidence is built through action, not before action. They replace beliefs that weaken them with beliefs that encourage persistence. Instead of focusing on what they lack, they focus on what they can improve. This mindset allows them to keep moving even when results are slow. Imagine planting two different seeds in the same garden. One seed represents the belief, I will never succeed. The other represents the belief, every challenge helps me grow. Both seeds receive your attention every day. Whichever one you water more consistently becomes stronger. Your thoughts work the same way. Every time you repeat an empowering belief, you strengthen it. Every time you challenge a limiting belief, instead of accepting it, you weaken its influence. Many people wait for evidence before believing in themselves. They think confidence should come after success, but in reality, belief often comes first. A musician practices before performing on stage. An athlete trains before winning a championship. An entrepreneur believes in an idea before customers believe in it. If they waited for certainty, they would never begin. Empowering beliefs create the willingness to take action, even when outcomes are uncertain. One of the most effective ways to replace limiting beliefs is by questioning them honestly. Ask yourself where the belief came from. Is it based on facts, or is it based on one painful experience? Is it something you discovered through years of evidence, or is it something you accepted because someone else said it? Many beliefs lose their power the moment they are examined carefully. What once seemed like truth often turns out to be an old opinion that has been carried for far too long. Another powerful step is changing the language you use every day. Words shape thoughts, and thoughts shape actions. If your vocabulary is filled with phrases like, I always mess up, nothing ever works out, or I'm just not capable, your brain begins expecting those outcomes. Replace those phrases with language that encourages growth. Say, I'm improving every day. Say, I can learn this. Say, every mistake teaches me something valuable. These statements are not empty motivation. They direct your brain towards solutions instead of surrender. Your environment also influences your beliefs. Spend enough time around people who constantly complain, criticize, and expect failure, and those attitudes begin to feel normal. Spend time around people who encourage learning, celebrate effort, and embrace challenges, and your perspective begins to change. The brain naturally absorbs the attitudes that surround it. This is why choosing your influences carefully matters so much. Books, podcasts, mentors, and meaningful conversations can slowly replace old mental patterns with healthier ones. Every inspiring idea introduces another possibility. Every encouraging story reminds you that change is possible. The more often your brain is exposed to empowering messages, the easier it becomes to believe them. Replacing limiting beliefs also requires patience. Beliefs that have been repeated for years rarely disappear overnight. There will be moments when the old voice returns, reminding you of past failures or telling you to stay comfortable. The difference is that you no longer have to accept that voice as the truth. You can recognize it as an old pattern that no longer deserves control over your future. Every time you choose a stronger belief instead, you teach your brain a new way of thinking. With enough repetition, those empowering beliefs become familiar, natural, and deeply rooted, gradually replacing the old stories that once defined your limits. People often believe that dramatic change requires dramatic action. They wait for the perfect moment to completely transform their lives. They promise themselves that starting tomorrow, they will wake up at 5 in the morning, exercise for 2 hours, read 50 pages a day, meditate every morning, and never procrastinate again. For a few days, excitement carries them forward. Then reality arrives. The routine feels overwhelming, motivation begins to fade, and before long they return to their old habits. They assume they lack discipline. But the real problem is that they try to change everything at once, instead of changing one small action consistently. Your brain does not become stronger because of one extraordinary day. It becomes stronger because of ordinary actions repeated over and over again. Success is rarely built through giant leaps, More often, it is built through small decisions that seem insignificant in the moment but become powerful through consistency. Every positive habit is like placing one brick at a time. A single brick does not look impressive, but after hundreds of days, those bricks become a solid foundation. Imagine a drop of water falling onto a rock. One drop changes nothing. 100 drops still seem meaningless. But millions of drops over time can slowly reshape stone. Consistency has a quiet kind of power. It rarely produces immediate results, yet it creates lasting transformation. Your brain responds in the same way. Small habits practiced daily gradually become automatic behaviors that require less effort and less willpower. This is because your brain is designed to conserve energy. Whenever you repeat the same action consistently, your brain begins turning that action into a habit. At first, every new habit requires conscious effort. You have to remind yourself to do it. You have to overcome resistance. But with repetition, your brain creates stronger neural pathways, making the habit feel more natural each time. Eventually, what once required discipline begins to feel like part of your identity. Think about learning to drive a car. During your first lesson, every movement demands your full attention. You carefully watch the mirrors, control the steering wheel, monitor your speed, and think about every decision. It feels exhausting because your brain is building new connections. After months of practice, those same actions happen almost automatically. You carry on conversations while driving because your brain has transformed repeated practice into an efficient habit. The same process applies to every area of life. Reading 10 pages every day may not seem life-changing. Exercising for 20 minutes may not look impressive. Writing one page each morning may feel insignificant. Saving a small amount of money each week may appear too slow. Yet these small actions, repeated consistently, create remarkable results over months and years. People often admire success without realizing it was built from hundreds of simple routines that nobody noticed. One reason small habits work so well is that they reduce resistance. Big goals can intimidate the brain because they appear difficult and uncertain. Small habits feel manageable. Telling yourself to read one page is easier than committing to an entire book. Promising yourself 5 minutes of exercise is easier than planning an intense workout. Once you begin, momentum often carries you further than expected. The hardest part is usually starting. Momentum is one of the greatest forces in personal growth. Every completed habit sends a message to your brain that you are capable of keeping promises to yourself. That sense of accomplishment builds confidence. Confidence encourages more action. More action strengthens the habit. This positive cycle grows stronger with every repetition. Many people underestimate the importance of identity when building habits. They focus only on results. They say, I want to lose weight, or I want to become successful. While goals provide direction, habits shape identity. Instead of asking, what do I want to achieve? Ask, who do I want to become? A person who reads every day becomes a reader. A person who exercises consistently becomes someone who values health. A person who writes regularly becomes a writer. Your daily habits quietly answer the question of who you are becoming. Every habit is like casting a vote for your future identity. One healthy meal does not make you healthy. One workout does not make you fit. One productive morning does not make you successful. But every repeated action strengthens the identity connected to it. The more often you practice a positive habit, the more natural that identity becomes. Your environment also plays a powerful role in shaping daily habits. The brain responds to cues around you. If distractions are everywhere, staying focused becomes harder. If healthy choices are easy to access, making better decisions requires less effort. Someone who keeps a book beside their bed is more likely to read before sleeping. Someone who places fresh fruit on the kitchen counter is more likely to eat healthier. Small changes in your surroundings often lead to significant improvements in your behavior because they remove unnecessary friction. Another important principle is avoiding the trap of perfection. Many people abandon good habits after making one mistake. They miss one workout and conclude they have failed. They skip one morning of reading and stop completely. But lasting success does not require perfection. It requires returning to the habit as quickly as possible. Missing one day is a normal part of life. Allowing one missed day to become a permanent pattern is where real progress disappears. Think of habits like planting seeds in a garden. Some days you water the plants and nothing seems different. The soil looks exactly the same. Days pass with little visible change. Then, almost unexpectedly, small green shoots begin to appear. Growth was happening beneath the surface long before it became visible. Personal development works the same way. The brain is changing even when external results are difficult to notice. Patience becomes essential because the greatest rewards usually arrive after weeks or months of consistent effort. Many people quit because they expect immediate results. They judge the process too early and believe nothing is happening. What they fail to see is that every repeated habit is strengthening invisible mental pathways. Progress often remains hidden until it reaches a point where the results become impossible to ignore. Small habits also protect you during difficult times. Motivation naturally rises and falls. Some days you feel inspired, while other days you feel tired, discouraged, or distracted. If your habits depend entirely on motivation, they disappear whenever your emotions change. Small daily routines create stability because they continue even when enthusiasm fades. They become part of your normal life instead of something you only do when you feel inspired. The beauty of small habits is that they remind your brain that meaningful change is always happening, even when it feels slow. Every positive choice strengthens your discipline. Every repeated action reinforces a healthier mindset. Every consistent step teaches your brain that success is not created by occasional bursts of effort, but by showing up again and again, allowing simple daily actions to shape the person you become. Your life is shaped not only by what happens to you, but by what you choose to focus on. Every single day, your brain is surrounded by more information than it could ever process. Thousands of thoughts, conversations, images, sounds, and experiences compete for your attention. Since your brain cannot pay attention to everything, it constantly filters what matters most. The remarkable part is that this filter is influenced by what you repeatedly choose to notice. Whatever consistently receives your attention begins to occupy more space in your mind. And over time, it influences your emotions, decisions, and actions. Think about buying a new car. Before deciding on a particular model, you barely noticed it on the road. But after making your choice, suddenly that same car seems to be everywhere. The cars were always there, but your brain started paying attention because it now considered that information important. This is one example of how your focus changes your perception of reality. The world did not suddenly fill with those vehicles. Your awareness simply shifted. The same thing happens with opportunities, challenges, confidence, and fear. If your attention is constantly directed toward everything that is going wrong, your brain becomes highly skilled at finding more problems. Every inconvenience appears larger than it really is. Every obstacle feels like proof that life is unfair. Your mind begins collecting evidence that supports a negative outlook because that is where your focus has been trained. Now imagine shifting your attention toward possibilities instead of limitations. Instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this experience?" Instead of focusing only on the obstacle, begin looking for the lesson hidden within it. That simple shift changes the way your brain processes the same situation. The challenge has not disappeared, but your response to it becomes more productive because your focus has changed. Many successful people understand that attention is one of the most valuable resources they possess. They cannot control every event, but they can control what they allow to dominate their thoughts. They recognize that attention is like sunlight in a garden. Whatever receives the light grows stronger. If you constantly shine your attention on fear, fear grows. If you consistently focus on gratitude, gratitude becomes easier to experience. If you direct your attention toward learning and improvement, those qualities begin to define your life. Modern life constantly competes for your attention. Notifications appear every few minutes. News headlines demand emotional reactions. Social media presents endless comparisons. Advertisements encourage you to believe that happiness is always one purchase away. Every distraction pulls your focus away from what truly matters. Without realizing it, many people spend hours reacting to things that contribute nothing to their long-term growth. Your brain was never designed to jump from one distraction to another every few seconds. Deep thinking, creativity, and meaningful progress require sustained attention. Every time your focus is interrupted, your brain needs time to regain concentration. Frequent distractions slowly train the mind to expect constant stimulation, making it harder to stay engaged with important work. This is why protecting your attention has become one of the most important skills in today's world. Every moment you spend focusing on something is an investment. The question is whether that investment is producing the future you want. If most of your attention is spent worrying about things outside your control, comparing yourself with others, or replaying past mistakes, Your brain becomes stronger at those patterns. If your attention is directed toward personal growth, meaningful relationships, learning, and purposeful action, those patterns become stronger instead. Imagine holding a flashlight in a dark room. Wherever you point, the light becomes visible. Everything else remains hidden in the darkness. Your attention works exactly the same way. You decide which part of your experience receives the light. Two people can live through nearly identical circumstances and have completely different experiences because they choose to focus on different aspects of reality. This does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending problems do not exist. It means refusing to let problems become the only thing your mind can see. Every challenge contains multiple perspectives. One perspective asks, why me? Another asks, what now? The first drains energy. The second creates momentum. The quality of your focus determines the quality of your response. Gratitude is one of the simplest ways to retrain your attention. When you intentionally notice the good things in your life, no matter how small, your brain begins searching for more reasons to appreciate the present moment. Instead of automatically scanning for threats and disappointments, it starts recognizing progress, opportunities, and meaningful experiences that were always there but previously ignored. Visualization also demonstrates the power of focused attention. Many elite performers spend time imagining themselves succeeding before the event actually happens. They picture themselves staying calm under pressure, making confident decisions, and overcoming obstacles. This repeated mental focus prepares the brain to respond more effectively when the real moment arrives. The mind becomes familiar with success before success becomes reality. Focus also influences your relationships. If you constantly search for people's flaws, you will always find them. If you pay attention to kindness, loyalty, and positive qualities, those characteristics become more noticeable. The same person can appear completely different depending on what you choose to notice. Your attention shapes not only how you see yourself, but also how you experience everyone around you. Every goal requires focused attention over an extended period. Great achievements rarely happen because someone had extraordinary talent alone. They happen because someone consistently directed their energy toward a meaningful objective despite distractions. Every hour spent learning, practicing, improving, and growing strengthens both skill and discipline. Attention fuels progress because whatever you consistently focus on receives your time, effort, and commitment. The brain gradually becomes better at whatever it practices most often. If you practice distraction, your attention becomes weaker. If you practice concentration, your attention becomes stronger. If you repeatedly focus on excuses, your brain becomes efficient at creating them. If you repeatedly focus on solutions, your brain becomes skilled at solving problems. Every moment of attention is shaping the way your mind works. Your future is not determined only by your intelligence, education, or circumstances. It is influenced every single day by where you choose to place your attention. Every thought you encourage becomes easier to think again. Every perspective you practice becomes more natural. Every positive focus strengthens a mindset that supports growth, resilience, confidence, and purposeful action, gradually transforming the direction of your life through the simple but powerful habit of choosing what deserves your attention. Many people believe success comes from moments of extraordinary motivation. They wait for the day they finally feel inspired enough to change their lives. They imagine waking up with endless energy, perfect discipline, and complete confidence. But motivation is unpredictable. Some days it is strong, and other days it disappears without warning. If your progress depends only on how you feel, your future will always rise and fall with your emotions. Real transformation happens when consistency becomes stronger than motivation. Think about the sun rising every morning. It does not appear only when conditions are perfect. It follows a reliable pattern day after day. That consistency is what makes life possible. In the same way, people who achieve meaningful success are rarely the ones who feel motivated all the time. They are the ones who continue showing up, even when excitement fades. They understand that repeated action has far more power than temporary inspiration. Your brain is constantly adapting to whatever you practice. Every repeated behavior strengthens certain neural pathways, making those actions easier over time. This is why consistency is so important. Every time you choose a productive action, you are teaching your brain what normal looks like. At first, those actions may require effort, but with enough repetition, they become part of your identity. What once felt difficult eventually begins to feel natural because your brain has learned that this is simply how you operate. Imagine someone learning to play the piano. Their first lesson is slow and frustrating. Their fingers struggle to find the right keys. Every movement requires concentration. If they practice only once a month, improvement will be almost impossible. But if they practice a little every day, their brain gradually builds stronger connections. The music begins to flow more naturally. Their hands remember movements without conscious thought. The difference is not talent alone. The difference is consistent repetition. This principle applies to every area of life. A confidence grows through repeated courageous actions. Knowledge grows through repeated learning. Strength grows through repeated training. Financial success often grows through repeated wise decisions. Healthy relationships grow through repeated acts of kindness and trust. Every worthwhile result is usually the product of countless small actions performed consistently over time. Many people become discouraged because they judge progress too quickly. They expect visible results after only a few days of effort. When those results fail to appear, they assume nothing is changing. What they fail to recognize is that the most important changes happen beneath the surface first. Just as a tree develops deep roots before growing tall branches, your brain develops stronger mental patterns before those changes become visible in your life. Consider a person trying to become healthier. They choose nutritious meals, exercise regularly, and sleep better for 1 week. Looking in the mirror, they may see almost no difference. It becomes tempting to believe the effort is pointless. Yet inside the body, important changes are already taking place. Muscles are adapting. The heart is becoming stronger. Energy levels are improving. The visible transformation arrives later because internal progress always comes first. Your brain works the same way. Every consistent positive action strengthens your mindset even before dramatic results appear. Every day you choose discipline over excuses, you reinforce a healthier identity. Every day you keep your promises to yourself, you build trust in your own ability. These invisible victories create the foundation for future success. Consistency also teaches patience. Modern culture often celebrates instant results. We expect fast deliveries, immediate responses, and overnight success stories. But meaningful personal growth rarely follows that timeline. The greatest achievements usually require months or years of steady effort. Understanding this removes unnecessary frustration because you stop expecting immediate rewards and begin respecting the process itself. There will always be days when progress feels slow. Some mornings you will feel energetic, while others will feel difficult. There will be moments when distractions appear more attractive than your goals. During those times, consistency becomes more valuable than intensity. It is far better to make small progress every day than to make enormous progress once and then stop completely. Small actions repeated without interruption eventually outperform occasional bursts of extraordinary effort. Think of building a wall with individual bricks. 1 brick alone appears insignificant. 2 bricks seem no more impressive. Even after placing 10 bricks, it may not look like much has changed. But if you continue adding 1 brick every day, eventually a strong wall begins to appear. Nobody admires the individual bricks. They admire the finished structure, often forgetting that it was built one simple step at a time. Consistency also creates momentum. Every completed action makes the next action slightly easier. Every promise you keep strengthens your confidence. Every productive day increases the likelihood of another productive day. Success often becomes a cycle because positive actions reinforce one another. In the same way, inconsistency creates its own cycle. Every broken promise weakens confidence. Every unnecessary delay makes future action feel more difficult. One reason consistency is so powerful is because it changes your identity. Instead of saying, "I am trying to become disciplined," you gradually become a disciplined person. Instead of hoping to become confident someday, you begin acting like someone who believes in themselves. Identity is not created by one dramatic decision. It is shaped by repeated evidence. Every consistent action provides another piece of evidence that supports the person you are becoming. This is why keeping even the smallest commitments matters. Reading a few pages, exercising for a short time, practicing a skill, writing your ideas, learning something new, or taking one step toward your goal may seem insignificant on its own. But each action tells your brain that growth is your normal way of living. These repeated messages become deeply embedded through experience rather than words alone. Obstacles will always appear. Unexpected setbacks, failures, criticism, and disappointment are part of every meaningful journey. Consistency does not mean never facing difficulties. It means refusing to let temporary obstacles become permanent excuses. People who succeed are not those who avoid failure. They are the ones who return to their habits after every interruption. They understand that missing one day does not erase months of progress unless they allow that pause to become a stopping point. Every consistent choice is like casting another vote for the future you want to create. One vote may seem small, but thousands of votes shape the final outcome. Every positive action strengthens your brain's belief that success is possible. Every repeated effort teaches your mind to expect progress instead of defeat. Over time, consistency becomes more than a habit. It becomes the quiet force that rewires your brain for lasting success, unshakable confidence, meaningful happiness, and a life built through steady commitment rather than temporary motivation.